Good afternoon, everybody. I'm getting dressed for work while I'm talking to you guys. Let me say that up front. Um, while everybody's coming in, I'm going to get some of the YouTube stuff out of the way. You won't be seeing a picture of me or my surroundings. One, because I'm getting dressed. Two, because I am trying to, as much as possible, keep where I'm at and where I'm working as secret as possible. Until I've got 10 days of a temporary restraining order that I was able to get yesterday. Go back to court for the permanent one. And they're not hopeful due to the fact, one, I've got out of the situation. Two, I wasn't living with, I was living next to this individual. Um, I have, well, I am about to obtain over the next couple days written statements from certain individuals that witnessed the stalking behavior to have in court when we go back. Um, I'm so thankful to the women's shelter, for the battered women's shelter, for assisting me. I hope and pray that they are able to help me find a spot to park on at night between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. That's the biggest issue I'm having right now. Um, and which creates other issues, okay? Which means gas out the wazoo. So before I get into what I want to talk about, let me clarify a few things for folks that are asking, because I have had emails, I've had Facebook messages, and other things. Um, Friday, this Friday, I will get paid for 5.5 hours at $8 an hour. That's before taxes. After taxes, it's probably going to be somewhere around $35. That's my best guesstimate because it's single, no dependents um, on my tax forms. Uh, and then it'll be 2 weeks when I get a first full paycheck. The first thing I'm doing then is filling up gas and transmission fluid because right now I'm having to drive like until I can find somewhere that I can park overnight legally. I'm having to drive if I'm not at work. Um, okay, not sure what that said, but anyway, um, so gas is an issue. I still need to come up with the rest of the money to get the 3 quarts transmission fluid I need. Depending on where you get it, the average price with tax included per quart is $7.75. It is Mercon 6, I believe, is what it's called now. It has to be compatible with Mercon 3 for General Motors vehicles in the 95 range. Just for those that want to know, I believe I do have some on my wish list, on my Amazon wish list, if somebody would like to do it that way. Um, Rather than give money, that's fine. Let me say that. I'm not saying anybody has to do anything. Whatever. Anybody would like to help contribute to the gas until my first paycheck, it would be great. I need help for the next 2 weeks till I get paid so that I can make it back and forth to work. Now, um, that's a weird question. I have burned incense and I do sage on occasion. Now, uh, the other thing I want to say, I don't know what happened to the video that I did when I woke up in the middle of the night. YouTube is telling me there was an issue uploading it on one hand, but on the other hand, it seems viewable and visible. So it's a message and a warning or something to that effect. If you guys can let me know if it's available for y'all to see or not, it was a live stream. I don't know how to fix it. um, When it's the phone, I'm very limited, but I don't have any hotspot data left, so I can't get on the laptop to go into stuff. If I don't answer comments or other stuff, um, YouTube kind of limits what you can see and do when you're just on your cell phone. So let me say that too up front. Um, let's see. Let me get everything out of the way. I'm getting dressed as I'm talking to you guys, so I apologize if my voice goes in and out. I apologize if I kind of lose track because I'm doing 3 things at once. I got to be at work in about 40 minutes. About 5 minutes from my job, so that's not a big deal. Anyway, I would like to ask once again, just in case that video didn't get out there, that one of our longtime sunshines is going through it right now. She's usually the person I turn to for spiritual encouragement in the Lord. She has been instrumental in helping me stay strong in my recommitment to Jesus Christ and in my walk. Physically, she's going through a test right now, and when she broke down and asked me to pray for her, and told me that she was feeling like basically she didn't want to be here anymore on this earth, it kind of broke me yesterday. And I just want to ask you guys to please pray for her. Pray for the Lord to give her strength and to heal her pain and her mental pain that she's going through right now due to that. This ain't about me. She's a very good woman. Sorry, y'all. Oh, I'm trying not to cry. And I'm probably going to cry again when I get into what I want to talk about Summer Wells. I'm just going to tell y'all up front. And I might get angry too as well. But I do want to ask, I'm calling her Granny Sunshine. I just want to ask everybody out there, please lift her up in prayers. But please, that's all I'm asking on that one. And get it out of the way, hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share. All those things are free in the description box, all the links to the social media. Which I'm going to be honest with y'all right now, again, without a laptop, it's hard for me to see a lot of that stuff. If you're not messaging me directly to my cell phone, to my email account, or to my personal Facebook Messenger, unless I'm in Wi-Fi, I won't be able to see it. And it's hard for me to get in Wi-Fi in this big old camper. You can't, you can't be incognito in a 30-foot, 20-foot tall motorhome. It's just not possible. Okay. Now, on to the subject matter at hand, and that's Summer Wells. That I want to talk about. I want to get all that out of the way first. I don't want to mix any of it up together. I want to tell y'all my theory. I told everybody a while back that I was going to go back over my old videos and old data and add the new stuff in with it because there's some new things, some new information coming to light, in my opinion, that gives us a different perspective on Summer and her case. I went back to look at what it was that I was focusing on when I was getting the nasty emails. The first thing that started out was a guy with the last name Simpson who was sending me Amazon wish list items, you guys. And that name traced back to someone who was on the county commission. And who, when I reached out to some people I knew locally, knew him, knew family, whatnot. Anyway, ties in, Marvin Simpson, the elusive Marvin, who I wonder if really exists, but that's a whole nother ballgame. Ties into that Simpson strain. Here where I'm at, my surname is on two areas. Like, there's one that goes up the mountain where I was born and raised in this area. And then there's another strain. It's called the Enola Road strain. And I remember growing up, my papa saying to me that we weren't related to the Enola Road ones because they was Republicans and we was all Democrats. Oh, do not disturb on you guys. I'm so sorry. Because that'll interrupt the stream. So if you send me a message, an email, or a Cash App or PayPal right now, you have to tell me on screen because I can't hear it. I have to block it so that the stream doesn't get interrupted and keep buffering. And YouTube don't just shut it down. I think that may be part of what happened last night because I didn't do not disturb, and then it's not working. Anyway, back to the story I was telling. And there is a point to it. It relates to the Simpsons and what I think is going on there. Because genealogically, they are, it seems, related to one another. Those sets. Just like the lights. There's the lights that seem to be the good lights, and then there's the lights that's, a little bit astray of the law. And for lack of a better way to put it, I think that's a choice. I'm trying to see what time it is. Okay. That's more of a choice, I believe. The light. My bottom line is the lights and the Simpsons thing. I think they are all blood related, technically. They choose to not claim one another in those strains, I believe, because because they see one as good and the other as bad as far as the side of the law. Sorry, who am I look by? Sorry guys, taking a goodie powder. I told you I am getting dressed and ready to crank up and go to work. We will be cranking up shortly to leave where I'm at for tonight. I won't be here tomorrow night, so I guess it doesn't really much matter in a sense if I tell where I'm at, but I'd like to be able to maybe come back in a couple nights or so I want to keep it a secret. That's the whole thought process. Anyway, my thoughts is, just because they're not claiming each other, like, I got family right now. They could help me if they wanted to, but they won't. Why? I'll tell you why. Because I got pregnant and I wasn't married when I had my children. My granddaddy didn't speak to me for almost a year and a half when he got told. My children were 9 months old when my grandfather finally spoke to me. And that was a white man that's their father. When I dated a man of color, I was ostracized, excommunicated. They looked through me. And it still stands to this day. Even when I was getting drugged and beat, it didn't matter. And I'm telling y'all this not as a pity party, but I want y'all to understand how things are. Those of you that live in this area know what I mean. They know exactly what I mean. You don't exist anymore. You're not good enough, whatever it is. And you see the Simpsons and the Lights. There's two different versions in Hawkins County. And I've done picked this up through research. There's the line of the Lights that's goes back to the videos that are nearly 17 years old, talking about the moonshine running and making, and that line, that lineage, that particular family fork or however you say it, has always run afoul of the law. And the other side has always been, upstanding citizens, per se, for all the world to view and see. I'm not saying they are in the dark, because what's done in the dark will come to the light. Interesting. Anyway, so I went back and looked at my videos and stuff. And you guys, when I started talking about this thing that I'm talking about right now, that's when this all started. After I started the discussion on that, I got to looking, into the backgrounds and arrest records and major bust and reports and tax documents, specifically land and how it was passed down through the years. I even highlighted, if you don't believe it happens there, I even highlighted how certain children, this sister got 90% of the daddy's estate. And going back to the Morlocks, who originally owned the land, were Don and Candace, and Summer, and the children lived. There was a husband of one of the Morlock daughters that got two up and breakers. He married one and had an affair with the other. Those children from the affair were just as much Morlocks as their half siblings and first cousins. But that was embarrassing. That was not cool. So they were not claimed. And they were basically excommunicated. They had to survive. One of them was given like a camper and a little bitty piece of land basically to park it on. And that was his inheritance. While the other one, the other core family that inherited, got multiple tracts of land that they ended up selling off because one of them ended up with a drinking and gambling problem. And those of you that are from the area, I'm correct. I mean, I can bust out the name if I need to. I'm telling this to prove a point. So, you had a bunch of these families that are related. They're cousins. Every time I say that, I think about the Patty Duke Show. Cousins, identical cousins. Anyway, y'all know I can't sing. So anyway, they had to find a way to survive. We're talking, during Prohibition and everything else. So back then they started running moonshine. Okay, well, the revenuers and the fact that alcohol became legal made running moonshine not a lucrative thing anymore. So what do those people do? They're not going to sell the land. A lot of times it's in what's considered and called an irrevocable family trust. Like the Fields property that Jody Sue and Andy and them have. Hint, hint. But you got all these cousins, and when they get together, they got quite a bit of land, and it's all pretty much touching each other. Some of them's kissing cousins. Y'all don't know what that term refers to here in the Appalachians. It can mean one of two things. It can mean that they're really not blood related, but they call themselves cousins. Sometimes that's a kissing cousin or a play cousin. Or it can mean that, like was said in the documentary about West Virginia, the wonderful whites of West Virginia, and he shook at the Boone County mating call. After 5 o'clock, ain't nobody cousins. Okay? Can mean that too. That they're kissing cousins after 5 o'clock and they ain't related. You're talking about people. There's nothing but coal mines was in the area and they all got shut down. Then all the factories left when NAFTA happened. And I know I harp on that, but you guys have to understand the desperation. You have to understand the poverty, the generational poverty. And the only thing they have is the land and what they can do with it and what they're smart enough to use it for, good or bad. Okay? That being said, sorry you guys, I'm rolling stuff up and getting ready to crank. I apologize in a sense, but not fully. I have to open this window. So, okay. Lord, he got all kinds of drink cans on top of his car. So you're dealing with generational poverty. So when moonshining wasn't a thing anymore, a lot of them turned to the herbals. I got to use terms that YouTube will allow, so bear with me. Read between my lines, y'all, is all I can tell you. A lot of them turned to planting Mary Jane and growing it, okay? Problem with that is the local authorities might turn their head and look the other way and might let it get, passed or whatever. But you've got to deal with the feds. And when the feds come, the local authorities got to cooperate with them. I mean, they don't gotta, but they do. They do. Because they don't want them there for any longer than they have to have them there. A lot of times, there's things, and I'm not making an accusation. Don't say need to make this accusation. Past history, especially if you look at organized criminal enterprise, because that's what I'm talking about here. Past history has shown that those that are committing the organized crime can make donations to certain, individuals in power, or a percentage continuously coming, whether it's tax dollars or whatever, and the other way is looked, for lack of a better way to put it. Sorry guys, I'm having difficulty with a blind right now that I'm trying to get up. It's not easy. It's not easy being busy. Anyway, it'll have to do with that. I got to hurry. A lot of small town area law enforcement will look the other way because it's not harming anyone, allegedly, in their opinions. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. But they look the other way, and the crimes have changed over the years as the rugs of choice for Americans change. So do the criminals that are making them. Mary Jane takes a long time to grow and cultivate. It's easily spotted. Now, having land and a good old freeway to run that works great. And when certain other things became the rugs of choice, and this is not allegedly, there's newspaper articles that we've already discussed at length to prove this. We've looked over them. It went from Mary Jane to nose candy to the opioid epidemic to doing math. And I've done some research on this. I was told that in that area, a thing called shake and bake that they can make like in the house, in the tub, whatever, is what they would probably choose to be making. Um, and here's my, I'm just going to lay it out there. Based on what I know and can prove, if y'all remember, there was a pipeline for the opioids coming from that pain clinic in Norcross, Georgia, and running up and down 93, I believe it is, and east and west, I don't know if it's there, 77, 75, or 40. But they intersect right there, you know, in near the Hawkins County area in Tennessee. All right, that was a major bust. As I understand, Hawkins County and the SBI didn't initiate that. It was initiated by the federal authorities, and they had to be stepped in. I guess the feds didn't feel at that time that they were, you know, intricately involved, or they would not have allowed them in. Also, trying to think how to word this, y'all. Here, I'm just gonna put this out in my personal opinion. Here's what I think happened. I believe firmly that let me give a scenario that I can say without having to worry about defaming or whatever and a big old legal mess. This is what I think. I think that bust happened and they were no longer able, because that pain clinic got shut down. That doctor went to jail. They were no longer able to have access to that. That was huge, by the way. If you look it up, all the major players in that game, some are out now, some are out, some are not, some are deceased. All have nieces, nephews, children, sisters, brothers, right there. Some have never run afoul of the law. Some have, just the way those that were busted and incarcerated did. I mean, when they came to arrest one individual, there was a shootout with law enforcement in the middle of the street. So don't tell me that just because the feds came to town that it made a difference. I mean, it eventually did, but it didn't stop what was happening. And what triggered this thought process, honestly, comes from Baby Emmanuel's case. So I want to give a shout out to that. Because what was said was that trailer park where the house, where the baby was living, was known for certain type activities. And they were angry at all the people around because of being involved. Well, because all the people that were showing up, the news media, the police, the just general public doing the prayer vigils and whatnot, was preventing them from being able to do their normal activities, okay? Same thing when Summer went missing. I think everybody being around was preventing them from being able to do their normal activities. My thing is, here's what I think happened. I think after that big bust with the opioids and the doctor and the thing being, the players and their families, they still had some, I think, product and money left. I think they liquidated everything they could. Because let me say this, to start that enterprise and be running it, and the amount of money, remember, altogether, there was between assets and rugs and their street value and whatnot, if you put all of it together, that particular bust was like close to $20 million, y'all. That's a heck of a lot of money in that area. 20,000 is life changing. So imagine, just imagine. Let it marinate for a moment. and sink in the gravity of the amount of money we're speaking about. That pipeline, those highways, the family of those individuals, and a lot of people higher up to low down that was involved didn't go down. Whether they got found innocent, whether they were just on probation because of what that could be proven about them was. My point is there was enough people left. They might have took the head of the snake and its two arms, but it regenerated itself, in my opinion. And what I think occurred, this is all my opinion. Let me say that emphatically, and I will be saying it repeatedly. I need about a 30-second bathroom break, y'all, so I can crank up and roll out. Sorry, I got to go to work. Okay. Ooh. I'm not muting, so hopefully y'all can still hear me. Y'all won't hear the flush. I don't have the water on, so there's no swoosh right now. Okay. Anyway, and I do apologize beforehand if when I crank up, it makes it more difficult to hear me. I'm going to do the best I can, but I am going to my job, and I am going to be there on time with a smile. I was hoping to stop at the dollar store next door and grab me a drink before I go in. Hopefully I'll get there in time. I got about 5 minutes drive, hopefully, if traffic isn't too bad. And I got about 5 minutes, I think, to get there. I got 8 minutes. Somebody's trying to call me. Spam. Okay, anyway. Let's go. Here's my thoughts. In my opinion, hypothetically, let's say that my family has a business, an illegal, illicit business. And I'm saying this with a little bit of background thoughts because my granddaddy used to run Shine, okay, back in the day in them there hills. If you guys, Tennessee, y'all know about Junior Johnson and the NASCAR bus that was infamous back then. It trickled down to my grandpappy. So I know a little something, something. That being said, when all the money makers and money holders left, somebody had to figure out how to put the pieces of the puzzle back together. I think they did. I think instead of moonshine, Mary Jane, or doing math, I think, and I can get out of here, y'all. I'm navigating a huge shopping center parking lot and a lot of traffic. I think they started selling meth and white pixie dust. I'm trying to think of how I can say it on YouTube. It's amazing how somebody backed right out in front of a big 30-footer and then look at me like I did something. You backed out of a parking. Anyway, I digress. Here's what I think. I think that certain players in the game, I know about a pizza parlor and a situation where that person had ties to those Italians up in the New York area. Let me ask y'all this. I need to make a lot of money fast. I bring a bunch of people to me telling them that they can buy a house. When they get there, that house is not for sale. They've spent a lot of money and they feel duped. What can I give them? Or maybe that's a ruse and they're bringing precursors to make something. Loaded up in a U-Haul type truck. They loaded up and moved to Beverly. Anyway, that comes down. I'm thinking, how can I make these people not mad at me, still make this money to support my family and my habits, and not get caught? What is the best thing I can do? What I do is contact my friend. And my friend has friends in New York, let's say. And in New York, the same amount of math that I can make $20 on, I can sell it in New York and make $60. So I come up with this grand plan. They come down, they pick it up out of the storage unit that I have set up. They take it up there and sell it. But somebody, whether it's me when they bring it back, or them when they're doing their due with it, somebody screws it up. And I owe $100,000. And out of 100, I only paid 30. Threats have been being made for over 6 months to me and my family that something's going to happen. You're not going to get their money if they hurt you or the other breadwinner in the family. So what do? They go for your most prized. Sorry, I got stuff sliding because I'm having to brake hard because this car stopped on a dime and pulled up over in front of me. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, they go for your family and say, maybe they take one of your children and before you can't do none of that. All you can do is try to play the game and pray that you can get them their money slowly under the table and somehow that missing individual reappear. But no matter what kind of jackass you make yourself to the world, people don't let it go. They don't stop. They keep on asking questions. They keep on pushing buttons. And you, oh my gosh, come on, out of my way. And you are trying to figure out how can you pick up the pieces. How can you get your child back? That might be why you do some crazy interviews or say some things that to other people out here looks a little crazy, a little wild, a little unhinged, because you're hoping that it'll die down and go away, or that if you say and do enough crazy mess that nobody will talk to you and believe what you're saying. Okay, guys, I'm at my job and about to run it. Here's my thoughts. In a nutshell, I personally believe there's a lot of truth in the lies that we were hearing from Daddy Don and Mama Candace. And there's lies thrown in. The best liars tell the truth in their lies as much as possible. That's the only way that they can keep with them and continue to tell you the same lie over and over again. You know? That being said, sorry, I about failed. That being said, you know, you have all kinds of distractions. And the distractions, believe it or not, are important and pre-planned. Those distractions are part of the whole setup. Mom and Dad, they're thankful for the distractions. Oh my gosh, sorry. Y'all going with me inside the store beside my job. And I'm going to try to hide the camera as much as possible from showing where I'm at. That's all I know to do right quick, because I want to get this out. You'll have people talking bad about each other just so, God, the chicken plant's stinking, just so that they can distract you, just so you're not focused on this missing girl. You're focused on their rhetoric and bullcrap. Also, you're not focused on the rugs and how they're being distributed. Again, you're focused on their bullcrap. I'll have a part 2 when I get off tonight. Peace, love, and light. Going to work.